All right, hello, and welcome back to the Chase Thomas Podcast. Taping this on a Tuesday afternoon. A first-timer, Chip Walters, is here. He lived it. He saw it in Miami, in Coral Gables, where MTSU were the tougher team, as Coach Rick Stockstill talked about in the post-game presser, where there was no doubt who was the better, tougher team in Miami over the weekend. Middle Tennessee State pulling off a gigantic, not real upset, because they were just better, and they just whipped the Miami Hurricanes and Mario Cristobal over the weekend, along with my Tennessee Volunteers. So it's a great weekend for the state of Tennessee as a whole. But Chip, good afternoon, sir. How are you doing?
Doing well. Just getting ready for UTSA, which is up next, and you cannot blink on those guys. They're really good.
Absolutely. Wilson's team is the Roadrunners, man. They're a lot of fun, and that's a really good program at the moment. So we'll talk about that in a second. But coming in, I'm always curious when I talk to different coaches, especially like I talk to a lot of high school coaches here in Tennessee and stuff, and college coaches, and there seems to be this predominant belief that, like, going into the week, they have an inkling. If they're like, when you talk to them after the fact, where they're like, we like this matchup, we feel good about this, the national folks don't really see this, but we've seen the film and we're like, we think we have a real shot at this. Did you get the sense leading up to the Miami game that a lot of people were not aware that, like, hey, MTSU likes where they're at and they could really pull this off?
Well, I have the opportunity every Monday. I'm around Coach Stock a couple of times. I'm there for his weekly press conference, and also we do his coaches show on Monday night. But then on Thursdays, I hang out for a little bit with the coordinators, with Scott Schaefer on defense and Mitch Stewart on offense. And there was I'm not sure that they ever gave me the inkling that there were things they liked, but they never gave me the inkling that there was anything that they were really afraid of. I think on the offensive side, I think when Miami came out and just tried to play man-to-man coverage all night, and that comes with some bravado, that I think our coordinator, Mitch Stewart, and his offensive staff looked at that and started licking their chops, because we may not have the biggest, tallest group of receivers in the country, although we're bigger this year than we have been. We've got some incredible speed, and you've got a couple of guys with unbelievable football IQ. But as we saw, DJ England Chisholm on Saturday made 2 catches for 169 yards. One of them was 98 yards, one for 71. But he is and when he made the catch on the 98-yarder, I mean, he immediately put it into a different gear and was gone. I mean, he just left that guy, and he's an old track guy. And if you go back and you see the video of that, when he crosses the goal line, he did it like a track guy when he tried to, push out his chest. But that was, it was an exciting night. And I don't think that, our guys, we've played anywhere and everywhere we've been asked. And over the years, we've played everybody in the SEC except Auburn. But so going somewhere in a big stadium, in big NFL stadiums, not intimidating our guys. And I think the mindset of kids is different these days too. I don't think they know any better sometimes, that, hey, you're not supposed to go down there. That just doesn't affect them anymore. So, they went in, felt good about themselves. Our defense has been playing really well. And when the game got started, and and this is the third week in a row that Middle's had either a defensive score or a special teams touchdown in the first quarter, which kind of set the tone and rejuvenated that confidence level. And in this case with Miami, Middle intercepted Tyler Van Dyke's first 2 passes. And here's the guy that was, preseason all ACC. So, if there was anything lacking, the defense, restored that immediately, like on the, second or third play of the game when they got a pick that ended up with 3 points, and then Zaylen Wood got the pick six. So it was like went from 0-0 to 10-0 in a heartbeat.
Did you feel like they were built to just keep Miami down for the majority of the game? Because you're up 17-3 after the first quarter. Did you think that, like, okay, we have the pieces and the bodies to be able to sit on this and win this?
Well, and that goes back to Frank Peasant, who is the starting running back for Middle. One of the real bugaboos, even last year's team that won the Bahamas Bowl had, is they really, struggled to have something consistent in the run game. Well, now for 3 weeks in a row, you've had Peasant, who went for 92 at Colorado State, 122 against Tennessee State, and then came back with 74 against Miami. And Chase Cunningham has been effective in the run game with quarterback draws, things like that. And so they have not been devastating people with their run game, but they have had enough of a run game that people have had to stay honest and cover it. And so I think once that got going, the one thing that, once when they made the change and they brought Garcia in and he immediately took them down the field, it was like, oh, okay, that's we're going to have to make a stop here somewhere. And as that game got into the fourth quarter, Miami they were down 14, had the ball 4th and goal at the 1 or 1.5, and they throw the ball to the tight end who was covered well, comes up incomplete. And that was the moment right there, I thought, even before the next play, which ended up being the 98-yard touchdown pass. At that moment when Teldrick Ross made the play defensively, I thought, we're in a good spot here now. So those it's one of those things where a team kind of builds its own reputation, and this one has built a reputation that, if they'll do whatever they need to do, and they may bend, but they'll make a play somewhere along the way, and that was a huge defensive play there.
It's interesting, too. I mean, James Madison, still yet to lose an FBS football game. The only undefeated college football FBS team in
They're undefeated
history.
in FBS all time.
Exactly.
So, as an FBS member, and that was, their first game against us.
Yep.
And, gosh, boy, they're good. They are really, really good.
Well, that's my question, because you've won 3 straight now. You're really cooking. You got a great home game against UTSA this weekend, but the opener, 44-7, like, what changed? Like, what have you seen that, like, Coach Stock just immediately were like, all right, we're throwing this out, we're adjusting, this didn't work. Was there anything you can point to as to why that happened? It's such a weird score.
It was, but, I mean, you had kind of a bit of a perfect storm going on there. It was JMU's first game as an FBS member as they're in their transition year. So, obviously, they're going to be juiced. I mean, the place was sold out. They were about 500 short of a sellout in Harrisonburg. You knew, which they seat about 28,000, something like that. So it was, I mean, and they are right on top of you. They are built, as folks had a chance to see this past Saturday. To me, they're built exactly like App State is. And their coach, Coach Signetti, I mean, he is a real believer in the run game, real believer in playing toughness, and which most coaches are. But he's the head coach there. His brother is I think the offensive coordinator at Pitt.
Yeah.
And so, there's a lot of similarities in the way they kind of go about their business. So, and I think Middle, I don't think we kind of went into a shell early a little bit. And, with Mitch Stewart being the new offensive coordinator, it seemed like he was kind of getting I mean, he'd seen his guys in practice,
Mm.
in fall camp, but I think he really kind of got a feel for what they were doing in, what he had by watching the game. And, after the first game, he also said, he goes, I got to simplify this down. I'm
Mm.
asking them to do a little too much. And then they came right back and did simplify things at Colorado State. And the X factor at James Madison for the against Middle's defense was Todd Centeio, their quarterback.
Mm.
He just made every right decision. He runs very effectively, and so that's one more guy you've got to cover in the run game. And Middle just did not do a good job that day, and got back to something more they were a little more used to with Colorado State the next week, and from then on they've played well. And again, like I said, in the JMU game, did not make a big defensive play early. JMU kind of took it to Middle, and it kind of ended up kind of avalanching a little bit as that one went on. But in the next 3 games, they've made that big defensive or special teams play early, and it seems like it has, bolstered the confidence for the rest of the game.
Was that your favorite game, the Miami game? Was that your favorite game to call in your career?
Oh my gosh! I mean, it's up there. I've been on the radio crew here for 32 years now, so it's
an alum too, correct?
It's alum, yeah. So there's been a lot of games. Beating Missouri at Missouri was big, and as big as that one was, there were 2 other games that come to my mind a lot. About 10 years ago, we went to Georgia Tech and just absolutely slapped them around, and that came out of. We had a really good running back who they just couldn't handle that day, and that one is up there. Middle had a streak of where they beat Vanderbilt 3 straight, and the first of those was the first time that Middle had beaten Vanderbilt in 50 years, and it was the first time they played in about 50 years, as a matter of fact. And that night at Vanderbilt Stadium, over half the place was full of Middle people, and the way that they won it, close ball game, Middle had it. We had a running back by the name of DeJuan Hicks who had a 3rd and 8 and just kind of, he just shed tacklers and picked up about 30 yards on a run down to the 10, and then Wes Counts, who was the quarterback, ran a naked bootleg that took the lead from 5 to 12, put it out of reach at the end of the ball game. That was in like our 2nd or 3rd year of being 1A or FBS, and that one just carried so much significance especially in our local area, that one's always going to be remembered. But Miami, you can, whether they deserve to be ranked or not, they were, and that's always going to be the first one ever. And like Coach Stock said, he's been quoted several times since then. He said it really is fun to do things that people don't think you're able to do, and that's what they did. And they kind of go about their business with a little bit of that kind of chip on their shoulder all the time.
We'll end on this. What do you think with Coach Stock? What do you know about him, and what do you think when you read national folks talk about this team and where they're going and the building? What do you think that people get wrong about Coach Stock?
That he cares. There's so much. The folks who are the naysayers, they tend to focus on that. Yeah, he's got a good contract, and that kind of thing. But the thing that has stunned me is, and I shouldn't say it stunned me, but that the guys who played for him love him, and they come back, they call him all the time. He's very, very good to his former players, but it's kind of interesting. We've had kind of a couple of eras of players. Boots Donnelly was coach here for 20 years, and his players are very loyal to him, and as well as as fans of the program. But I think sometimes people, I don't know if they understand what a good guy he is, and and that he does care, and that when if they don't win a championship, which that's one of the things that people put on him. Well, he hadn't won a conference championship, and we've been in the championship game once in Conference USA, but that's something that they want, and I think that they may not understand that he wants it just as much as they do.
Hey, I mean, Kevin Beard, I always forget how to pronounce his name. Byard, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously a big stock guy, and retiring his number was huge, and little things like that, I think, go a long way.
Yeah, and that's going to happen on Friday night when we play UTSA. The official thing is they surprised him at Titans practice one day and told him it was going to happen. So it worked out to where we're playing a game on a Friday night, and the Titans, they don't travel to Indy until Saturday. So it all worked out. Kevin's going to be there. I think a lot of his teammates are coming because he's such a team guy. And last week, he made the two biggest defensive plays in the Titans win when he got the interception and then batted the ball down on the 2-point conversion. He's just an awesome guy. And you think about the other guys that have gone on to the league or gone on to whatever they've done in life, they're all big stock guys for sure.
Chip, this has been great. Thank you so much for making the time today. What can the good folks check out from you across MTSU or support the program this week?
Well, just my Twitter is @ChooseChip, and because I am a realtor as well, so those in Tennessee, call me up and if you need some real estate stuff. But I think just kind of follow this team and the social media for @MT_football, whether it's Instagram or @MT_FB. So that they're they put out a lot of good content. So they continue to follow that. We'll be on CBS Sports Network, like we said, on Friday night, but wherever you are, you can catch our broadcast on the Varsity Network app. If you haven't downloaded that, if you're a football fan, you need to do that. Or if you're a fan of college sports, that's one that's put out by Learfield. It's absolutely free in any Learfield school, and there's about 200 of them. You can catch any radio broadcast of any of those schools. So that's we always like to get listeners and from wherever they may be checking us out.
There you go. And we always support on this program any teams with their quarterback also named Chase.
There you go.
We're about it.
Exactly right. And I'll tell you talk about a great kid right there, Chase Cunningham. You just doesn't get any better than him. So y'all watch and enjoy, and be loud, be proud, and be blue.
There you go. Chip, thank you so much for making the time this afternoon, and we'll have to reconnect again soon.
Absolutely, Chase.